everyone, and welcome to episode 16 of the Racco Strength and Fitness Podcast, the Joe Montana episode. Today, I'd like to break down an exercise called the deadlift. The deadlift is one of the most important exercises that you can learn, and depending on who you ask in the fitness industry, it may even be the most important exercise that you can incorporate into your training. Essentially, it comes down to a coin flip between the deadlift and the squat, being the two most important exercises that you guys could learn for your overall health, strength, wellness benefit. Anyway, if you've seen my hip hinge video already on my YouTube channel, you're going to notice that there's a lot of overlap, as the deadlift is a hip hinge exercise. It's just different in the sense that, taking it literally by its name, the dead lift, you're lifting dead weight from the floor. So it starts from the bottom position going to the top, as opposed to a hip hinge where generally you're starting at the top position, hinging, and then returning back to the top. Okay? But we'll get into that a little bit more as we go. Let's take a look. Setup for the deadlift is crucial, and if executed improperly, there is the potential to place an incredible amount of stress on the lumbar spine, shoulders, and elbows. However, before we talk body positioning, we need to make sure that there's adequate room to perform the exercise. Now, usually, most gyms will have a designated area to deadlift. There you'll find a platform of some kind, or at least a space with extra rubber flooring. Please try to be courteous to the gym owners and use these designated spaces for deadlifting, as these platforms are designed to help save the floors and the weights from damage. Once you've found your designated deadlift area, choose which bar you wish to use. For the purpose of this video, we're just going to break down the deadlift using the conventional method and a traditional powerlifting barbell. But you also have the options to use a trap or hex bar, kettlebells or dumbbells, or rack pulls from an elevated position. These are all great options for people who may be beginners to deadlifting and maybe aren't ready to hop right into using a barbell. Now that we have our space and bar picked out, we can begin preparing ourselves for the lift. First, we step up to the bar with our feet about hip width apart. This can vary about an inch or two depending on your body size, type, general comfort with each stance, but for the most part, feet about hip width is a pretty standard place to start. The bar should be lined up over where you tie your shoes, so the bar should be about a half an inch from your shins. Then we're going to turn our toes ever so slightly out, as if you were trying to screw your heels into the ground to lock your feet in place. Once you're comfortable with your foot position, we're going to bend down and grasp the bar. You can use one of an assortment of grips to hold the bar. Each has their own perks and drawbacks. A double overhand or pronated grip will probably be the most comfortable for newbies. However, because your hands are facing in the same direction, it's actually the weakest of the grips that we're going to talk about. As the weight gets heavier, it will cause the bar to start to roll, and because your hands and fingers are facing in the same direction, it can cause your fingers to unhook, your hands to open, and your grip to loosen. To prevent this, some people use an alternating grip. This grip puts one hand in pronation and the other in supination. With your hands facing different directions, the bar cannot roll with your fingers, and your grip becomes more secure. A possible drawback here is that due to the difference in hand positioning, the lift can cause the arms, shoulders, and lats to develop slightly differently. And it's actually recommended that if you use this alternating grip, to switch your hands from pronation to supination each set. This brings me to our third grip option, using a double overhand grip with wrist straps. Now, some people in the strength training industry may frown on using straps, and they will quote, "If you can't hold it, you can't lift it." And while I see their kind of simple caveman-y logic in this, my logic in using the straps is with an exercise like the deadlift, where you have so many other moving parts to keep track of, I would much rather take one thing off that list and not have you worry about the bar slipping out of your hands, as opposed to adding to that list. Whichever grip you decide to go with, hand placement will generally be the same. Grip the bar straight down from your shoulders, right next to your body. This allows you to put as much distance as possible between your chest and the bar, giving you the greatest amount of leverage for the pull. Once you have a good grip on the bar, push your hips back as if you were trying to close a dresser drawer with your butt, engage your lats, and press your chest through your shoulders. I like to call this the proud chest or Superman chest. At this point, your arms should be straight with your shoulders back. Your back should be a flat line from head to hips, and your feet should be flat on the floor with the bar resting against your shins. You're now ready for the pull. Once we are in position to pull, we still need to create leverage and pull the slack out of the bar before attempting to lift it off the ground. I like to describe this as pulling with 95% of your strength, just enough so the bar begins to bend a little and you can feel the weight in your hands, lats, and glutes, but the weight should not leave the ground yet. Once we have full tension in the bar, arms, shoulders, lats, back, hips, legs, and all the way to your feet, take a deep breath into your belly, or as we know this as a Valsalva maneuver. Flip that switch from 95% to 100% of your power and lift. If you have successfully created tension in the bar, the lift should be quiet. There should be no clanking of weights off the floor, your elbows should not snap into a locked position, and there should definitely be no jerking or attempt to use momentum to lift. Just your raw power and strength. As you lift, I want you to envision driving the floor away with your feet, getting your shoulders as tall as possible, and getting your hips to the bar. One of the best ways I've heard to describe a deadlift pull was to envision yourself on a leg press, driving the platform away and your shoulders back into the pad. The same mechanics apply, only you're driving the floor away and your shoulders up into the air. By trying to get your hips to the bar, this should help eliminate your hips popping directly up from the pull and placing extra stress on the lumbar spine. Once you've reached the top position and locked out, return the bar to the floor. Don't drop it out of your hands from the top, and when in the top position, do not overextend the hips. This does nothing to help shape your glutes, as some bozo trainer may have once told you in the past, and it definitely puts your lumbar spine in a compromised position with an incredible load on it. After returning the bar to the floor, completely reset for the second lift. Remember, this is a dead lift. You're lifting dead weight from the floor. This is not a bounce the weight off the floor lift or a tap and go lift where we use our momentum and the springs from the platform to help get more reps. Treat each rep of your set as if you were doing one single rep each time. So if you're doing a set of 6, approach each lift of that set as if it's the only one you're going to do. Return the weight to the floor, rinse and repeat 5 more times. As I mentioned in the intro, the deadlift is considered to be one of the best exercises you can do for yourself. While yes, it is a hinge exercise, typically thought of something that you do for your back, it also works your shoulders, arms, glutes and hammies, and your core. It is the purest form of all strength exercises, where you are literally just lifting weight from the floor. But that strength will also translate to the other exercises that you're training. Because it is a full body exercise, you're working a lot of muscles. This means that when you're deadlifting, you're burning much more calories than if you're doing an exercise like a bicep curl. Yeah, buddy. And it will also help improve bone density of your entire skeleton. In this episode, we focused on one type of deadlift, the conventional deadlift using a barbell. But perhaps that's not the best variation for you. Another popular form of the deadlift is the sumo deadlift. This variation adopts a wider stance and a slightly more upright position and shifts some of the stress from your hamstrings to your quads. If you're looking to pull from a slightly higher position, you can try rack pulls or block pulls. This allows you to still work a modified hinge without as much stress being placed on the low back at the bottom position. You can also try using a hex bar or trap bar, kettlebells, And if you want to try training the deadlift unilaterally, you can also perform single leg deadlifts. That's all for me, everyone. I hope you were able to learn something that you'll be able to apply in your future training. Don't forget to like this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to my channel for more training content in the future. Happy training, everyone, and remember, grab the bull by the tusks.